had to play ambition for at least one of the games. They needed to just sanity check whether they had been rolling with the right lineup. I think that it was a little bit of a failure, and they have made the right choice in bringing in the younger jungler for their final game of Worlds.
And even though GENG are eliminated, they still hold the fate of this group in their hands. If they do beat RNG, RNG must play a tiebreaker, as you said, versus Vitality, for the right to join top 8. And what sweeter of an exit would be for the LCK than to knock out or help knock out the LPL #1 as Thresh is locked in right away from Ming.
Wow, that is a bold blind pick. I guess when all these supports are just banned off the table, they just wanted to make sure that they could get the next best. But you would imagine GENG are going to answer with something like a Nautilus, the common answer pick that we do usually see, and they get priority on the jungle.
And this is interesting out of RNG because they say we need to free up some mid and top lane picks. We need to be able to get some rhythm rolling in this. We've already highlighted how important Let Me and Xiaohu have been in this series, and now the ability to generate some of that playmaking from Ming could potentially free up the draft to be able to do that.
Spicy draft already. Damage output here. The Aurelia grabbed in pretty early, and there really aren't any mid lane bans away, nor more than just a couple of jungle picks out. So a lot of options here if MLXG and Xiaohu want to punish this Aurelia.
Now the Kai'Sa is still up and available, often the go-to pick for Uzi, but when you draft in the Thresh, you're getting yourself an Aatrox. RNG are playing much more towards the early game style. They're looking to go for kills. They're looking for lane dominance. And while you can flex his Aatrox to both top and mid, RNG are definitely coming in with a new, more aggressive game plan.
Well, one more pick to go in the first phase here. Bated breath around for everyone watching here and us as well, as we'll wait to see what RNG's third pick will be. And it is going to be more early aggression. MLXG makes his Worlds 2018 debut on Olaf.
Yeah, and it's a pick that we see now fairly common into the Taliyah. Something that at level 6 can challenge the Taliyah over a lot of her neutral objectives, farms at a similar rate as well. MLXG is one of the junglers that has very creative paths, something that Olaf doesn't normally take the ability to capitalize upon because he does just put the whole jungle on farm, but interested to see if he has something, you know, a little bit more special. Maybe it's a Black Cleaver Rush coming out and some outright aggression.
And GENG, they've drafted themselves 2 flex picks, arguably 3 flex picks right now, being able to put the Taliyah into the mid or jungle. The Aurelia can go top and mid, and the Shen can go top and support. So there's a lot of flexibility in their draft. So RNG, they may just want to take the Urgot off the board, just eliminate it from the pool so that GENG don't have that strong top side of the map.
Hey, they can pick it as well at the same time. We've seen Urgot flex towards the mid lane, haven't seen Xiaohu play it yet. I don't believe at this Worlds tournament. However, certainly something they can look to have, especially given the fact that if it is Aurelia mid, hey, you can even throw Aatrox into that matchup if you want to get very spicy.
Well, the last regularly scheduled game of this group is going to wait on the bot lane carry picks here. Ruler and Uzi, arguably the 2 best AD carries. And I say AD carries because they play exclusively marksman in the world. Ruler, probably the biggest carry for GENG, and obviously Uzi, the same for Royal. And there's a lot left to grab here. Only Xayah and Kai'Sa off the table, and Ruler wants to aggress early on. Lucian is picked up.
So you would imagine that this will be the Lucian Shen bot lane for GENG. The Aurelia will likely go top in my eyes in the hands of Kuve, and we're still waiting for that mid lane pick. But again, there's so much flexibility in the draft that GENG have gotten for themselves. RNG now. You would imagine they'll look to continue with the aggression that they've already drafted in the early game. You can see a lot of the hovers that Uzi's going for, and he grabs himself the Kalista.
That is going to be an exciting pick, and certainly bring Thresh to safety if Ming gets caught a little bit too far forwards, but you have so much kill threat here. A flash flay into the Marshall cadence is jumping up, and a Marshall poise, I should say, and is keeping up and getting those kills. That is absolutely possible here. We could have an incredibly explosive bottom lane.
And a lot of mid-game power right now is going to be locked in. If they round it out with the Lissandra, they've just said this is an out-and-out team fighting conflict.
Oh, laning even more!
What the heck?
Yes, this is a laning phase composition. Nami is, I think, the absolute queen of the bot lane at support. If you want to crush Uzi pre-level 5, Lucian Nami is the lane.
This draft is crazy. Like, we've got Crown on a carry, we've got Kuve on the Shen, Haru playing that Taliyah up against MLXG on the Olaf, Ruler An AD carry that's kind of had questionable performances throughout this group stages, ups and downs for sure, is going to be going toe-to-toe with Uzi. Lucian against Kalista. GENG, they're saying for their final game, they are here to play.
This is just going to be an insanely exciting game. Royal never give up. With a win, will be the second team locked in the quarterfinals. Vitality are waiting in the wings, hoping that does not happen. GENG can force a tiebreaker for second, and GENG throwing it all out the window. This will be their last game of Worlds. The defending world champions are knocked out in the group stage, but on their way out, they can hobble RNG.
And North America's hope in Core JJ with the pocket pick of the Nami could also deny the chance of that tiebreaker for the first seed and just allow Cloud9 to walk through on the inverse of what I think many pundits would have thought would be the outcome of this group.
And we might be in South Korea, but those are some RNG banners. The Chinese fans always come through to see their teams play live, no matter where Worlds or MSI or anything else is. This is going to be exciting. We are on to the Rift. Royal never give up, the MSI champions. GENG, the defending world champions, and they're going to battle for us right now.
The last time these two teams met in the group stages, it was a close back and forth. RNG started off with an early lead, GENG got it back in their favor, and ultimately it came down to a single team fight that won it for RNG.
And listen to that crowd.
Pride on the line for the LCK lineup of GENG. Their Worlds run has been cut short regardless of the outcome of this match. I don't think many people would have foreseen this outcome. However, this could be a blow to the LPL lineup, not getting the favorites for Worlds, the favorites of the LPL out of groups in first place. At this stage of the tournament would already be an upset, and we could see them just bump heads.
It's already spicy, but three are coming down. Ming kind of senses this. He's going to be taunted. A bubble's going to land, but there's an answer. The axe can keep coming out for MLXG. They've already rendered once. Ignite is on. Kuve is shut down for first blood. And you've got Crown in the wings waiting for a bit more, but spotted now by Xiaohu. Finds a stun and walks away, but RNG start the game 500 gold in the lead.
And what was supposed to be a trap for RNG ends up going horribly wrong. The Thresh takes the brunt of the damage. The Olaf picks up his axes and chases down the GENG members. Kuve loses his flash. RNG draw first blood.
And with Guardian, there just wasn't the damage to burn through Ming. There was no real pressure exerted on him. Only the flash was used out of Kuve. Ignite not wanting to be burnt. So advantage early on in this game, and when you give it over to MLXG, the wild card of RNG, he can take over an early game.
And even Core JJ starting Bubble actually gives away a lot of lane control. Normally she's so good because you learn the heal and you bounce it off your opponents, and Ruler wins every trade for free. Instead, the Bubble does not pay off here in this level 1.
And this starts well because they are able to layer their CC, but Bone Plating plus Guardian is just such a potent combo, and no one wants to fight Olaf at level 1. Every axe on point. MLXG starts the game right.
Now, some of the crucial summoner spells that got used were Flash for Uzi. That means that Haru could look for an early gank down towards the bot side of the map. He could look to try and help this GENG bot lane get back into the game and even get an advantage. And you can see him hovering around after clearing out his blue buff with no vision for the side of RNG. Haru could turn this around.
But you have to be sure of the play, because if the skill shots miss, and they are relying on either a bubble or a flick to get the party started, and you were there at the same time as the Olaf, the gank is going to turn. So they need to make sure that the vision is set first. GENG, not a team that's going to rush into this play. They will just allow the game to elongate, as we saw the first time they played this RNG lineup. So don't really expect them to up the tempo any further than what has already happened.
Wait to see what comes through right now. This game 800 apart, so a bit more earned than just the level 1 would have you believe. As you can see, an extra camp there for MLXG and a full wave of farm lead for Letney as the bot lane is recalled out for Royal. And Uzi's back in with a control ward and a longsword to help make sure he can keep that lane priority. Level 3s all around on the bottom side. Mid lane holding equal.
And this is something that Uzi has historically always done when he doesn't have summoner spells. He will be willing to go back and shop on strange item purchases. Historically, when it was something like BF Sword Rush, he would even go back and grab Pickaxe plus the Crit Cloak. So is a player that is willing to mix up the builds depending on what the state of the game currently looks like. He knows that he hasn't got a summoner spell available. The longer he can spend out of that lane, the more it could benefit him in the long run.
Still the holding pattern, but MLXG may be the first to make a play. He's going to be spotted by this ward as he comes up through this river, and the control ward now shuts off that vision, and is going to create some more scare in that GENG bottom lane as Guve manages to pull a turret shot towards Let Me. Otherwise, this Aatrox Force having a very good time.
And now MLXG is doing what he can to reclaim some control over the bot side of the map. You can see that after the early shenanigans that went down and there was little to no vision, we saw a very early base coming out from our Uzi, getting his early item, or longsword rather, and now you just see it littered across the river. Double control wards, one ward in the river, one ward on the blue buff, and now that potential gank onto the flashless Uzi becomes a lot harder for that of Haru.
Normally the GENG play style has been one of giving up very little and having lane priority and turret leads. We'll see if they do get some ganks through as Haru knocks down a quick Sentinel and look for the next move as that ward and many others start falling off, and now it is GENG who enjoys darkness in this side, but MLXG feels safe enough to fight with the control ward back, and maybe they'll be okay. Nice try on that hook.
Xiaohu also has a lot of control over the middle lane. Aurelia doesn't have that level of wave clear to be able to match the Lissandra, who can just spam a lot of her abilities very early on into the laning phase, keep Crown underneath his tower, and that means that he can move with MLXG. And if you meet this duo, that kill threat is huge.
There's the root, there's the stun, and MLXG is here. Can they knock down Crown? The flash forward, he tries to outplay, and he might get the trade kill. He will, a 1-for-1, but the assist goes over to Xiaohu.
And it is going to be a shutdown, but the proactive play one more time by the substitute jungler, getting involved early, trying to generate a lead.
Good stuff there from MLXG. Yes, it is a 1-for-1, but crucially, you're putting Crown behind. And no, he's not running the cleanse in this matchup. The chain CC can come out very easily from that of Xiaohu. He is a melee champion, and the setup is very clean, but a good response from Crown, utilizing that ignite damage, taking advantage of the double Q to maximize his damage output, enables him to get a return kill. RNG still lead the kill score.
And I think the setup to that play is why teams have so much faith in the LPL lineup of RNG this year, because you saw that they were able to wrestle control back of River through the wards, were able to once again make a good play through lack of vision for GENG that they were able to generate. This is an area that historically the LCK lineups have been supreme in their vision control. And I think that small glimpses of the brilliance of RNG like that still makes them one of the favorites of this tournament, regardless of the fact that they've fallen down 0-2 today.
Yeah, wounded, but certainly an incredible team. And now a fight towards this red buff as Haru tries to push back MLXG. And Kuve's on his way down. A 2 versus 2 here as Let Me is here to join in. Now Crown the first to reinforce, but it's a 3v3 as Xiao who joins up. And Kuve just going to blast cone right back out, but that gives numbers advantage to RNG. They've controlled the middle. They've divided and conquered maybe as Haru has to get away. It's not going to be the route yet. Xiao who just going to walk right back, but takes a bit of damage for his troubles. All said though, it's 3v1 for the red buff, and Haru will have to give away this control. You have to believe. And indeed, MLXG grabs it and is able to walk away.
Surprised that GENG showed so much respect when Xiaohu didn't have ultimate, but I guess you don't want to go toe-to-toe with an early game Olaf or an early game Aatrox, so instead GENG just concede that part of the jungle, and they're slowly falling further and further behind. A 1,000 gold lead is now in the pockets of RNG, and MLXG looking to continue pressure into Haru's jungle.
I think another point was the fact that so much of the area had already been worked ground, so Haru was just running out of space to be able to generate significant damage. You can see all the circles already placed around the red buff. They go again onto Crown.
Yeah, they threatened that one, but MLXG not going to come through, and Xiaohu doesn't take the path in. It's just simple wave clear makes mid lane plus 11 CS. Top lane almost up 20, and as Ruler grabs this bit of farm, he'll still be down 10 as all is said and done in his matchup against Kalista.
This is where I think RNG is at their scariest, because this time around they have legitimately 3 huge threats on the map that are all accelerated, all can play their game. and we'll see whether the GENG lineup can repel them.
Well, Crown's going to try for something at the very beginning, gets damage into Xiaohu, who just wave clears and gets back out. The beginning of damages are there, as Xiaohu's going to take the recall now, and maybe not.
RNG right now winning all across the board. Huge CS advantages in every single lane, and while things looked pretty good for Ruler for a time, Uzi and Ming have kind of reclaimed control over that lane, and this Nami isn't really paying off in terms of laning prowess. MLXG also utilizing the pressure that he has across the board to constantly move into the river, clear out the vision, force GENG to play on the back foot, and it continuously allows the RNG members to build their leads even further.
And RNG overall, if they can close this game out, might be able to say that they might be happy with some of the game losses that they have taken and first hold on in the bottom lane. The Cullen getting some decent damage, but they'll stay alive. But RNG still have the control to get first place. Flash play. We're going to try one more time as the bubble comes across. And now looking for the re-engage. 3v3. Now Shen joins as well. And watch out as Ming's got to walk backwards. Now on Akube. Slowed, force the top backwards. Weaver's Wall comes down to buy some space. A big ton for Xiaohu. And they'll pick down Ruler. Look for another kill as Crown tries to reinforce. But Core JJ will be shut down first. 3 versus 4 in the re-engage. And a nice lantern brings them to safety. MLXG will keep running. And now Uzi wants to come back in. Will not be stunned. The hook will not land. But they might knock down Haru. He's flashless. He has no roads out. 5-1 RNG.
And finally we see RNG turn a skirmish in the bottom lane, show their individual brilliance. They don't even bring their top laner down, and they still win the fight.
RNG demonstrating the prowess of their team. Beautiful stuff from this RNG squad. They find 4 kills off the back of that. And now this gold lead is snowballing out of control. 4,000 in their advantage. Good stuff for RNG.
And this started with aggression out of Ruler, out of Core JJ, as this replay is brought to you by Acer Predator. They thought that finally they would be able to turn this lane in their favor. They had Haru down here, but it was read like a book. You can see how early Xiaohu is on that teleport. And whilst they bring Kube down here with the Shen ultimate, they're just not able to position well enough to make that play happen.
Yeah, that flank from Xiaohu was beautiful. You talked about it, the setup was all there from RNG. They found themselves some early kills, and this is just overcommitment from GENG. They think that they can get something back, but 4 members versus 2. Uzi is still very alive. Ming, he doesn't really have to do much because MLXG and Uzi can just chase the targets down.
And the 2 things that you kind of have to remember with a comp like RNG's is that Xiaohu, the Q spam is going to be massive. As long as he has mana, he's going to be pumping out damage. Uzi is not spell reliant. He's just auto attack reliant. As the fight progresses, he does more damage. And then the Olaf really chasing back into that play, not taking stock of the situation. This isn't an R reliant composition coming out of RNG. I think was the fatal flaw that GENG made there. And the whole tournament long, it has just looked like the inability to find rhythm, to get, you know, the execution. They split at the start of the play as opposed to going in the same area, and just more bad news for the LCK lineup.
It is bad news. GENG very much on the back foot here. 3,500 gold down and starting to give away more and more of the map as the Rift Herald is likely to turn into yet another turret kill. So RNG get themselves farther and farther forward. And although RNG did get bruised today with 2 losses, they are still in control of their own destiny. They can still come out in first seed out of this group, and in a tournament with now the defending world champions, one of the favorites missing from the roster. That might actually help RNG's run towards the end, despite the couple of losses they did suffer. GENG having a very rough group stage, and RNG looking to get a little bit more to this one. Big damage on Let Me, might have to pop the ult, and does, but that could be only the revive forced out. Health bar low, now Crown battling Xiaohu in the re-engage in, as Haru wants to get himself onto the scoreboard, but Let Me flashes away and stays alive, but MLXG answers on a Crown to the bot side, and it's now 6 kills for RNG.
And GENG used the wall
Hold that thought.
Whoop. Well, that's the route. He's got the flash. No, he doesn't. He's going to try to run away. He'll knock back higher. The red buff helps. The jungle itself is alive, and now it's MLXG running away, a 1-for-1 in that.
2-for-1 overall, though, in favor of RNG. Let Me walks away with the ultimate and flash. And while that wall was supposed to cut off Let Me from his stiff, we don't have time, another fight.
They're just going to keep scrapping here into this one. Uzi's going to bring his teammate to safety. Knocked in the air, but they're fine. They managed to pull out the Shen ulti and stay alive.
All right, they did get the summoner spell out of Uzi. There's also going to be a Rift Herald deployed into the mid lane. You can see RNG now thriving in the chaos, upping the speed in which this game is going to be played, saying, you know what, if you want to brawl, Originally, we were the Brawl Fest team. We have our Brawl heavy jungler in, and we will take this fight.
And in this situation, Haru thinks, okay, I can get a huge chunk of damage off onto Let Me. Even though we're in a 2 versus 2, we should still be fine. And then this wall, you think it cuts off Let Me from his team. What it actually does is separate Crown from any kind of support. He's now left in the 2 versus 1. He did have his flash available, but he couldn't get out of that situation. And then Haru, he thinks he can go back into this. Kuve's not in a position to do so. Just when the taunt comes through, Xiao, who's still able to throw the Q out, he ends up finding that final kill, and RNG walk away with 2 kills.
And that bread buff has been super valuable for RNG this game. They've wasted so much time around and has been able to generate them kills and advantages, and Haru just not willing to give his jungle up, and they still don't have the prior prep to be able to defend it successfully.
And look at MLXG. 4, 1, and 3 this game, 100% kill participation. We talked about how he came in for the final game of the LPL finals between RNG and IG, and he was the change that RNG needed to help them lock down that big series win and come out as champions. And now here, in the final moments when RNG need to find a win to lock in that quarterfinal spot, he's coming up big.
And remember, before Uzi was the AD carry of the lineup, when it was Wushin, when it was Mudda in the bottom lane, MLXG was still the wild card that they would throw at teams at international tournaments and look to have big performances. Historically has teamed up very well with Xiao, the synergy has been questioned, but today it looks on point.
Ooh, the hook on one side, Lantern not grabbed just yet, and the potential re-engage as GENG shows 3, but RNG outnumber them. Not gonna go in for this fight though, and no one's down.
Ming demonstrating once again how talented he is so far throughout this tournament, or rather has been throughout this tournament. A beautiful hook onto Core JJ. Forces the teleport out from Kuve. He does cancel it, but he is really struggling in this 1 versus 1. They had the choice of the Urgot. They decided not to go for it, and Let Me has had full control over this top lane. Now, nearly a 60-70 CS advantage in his favor could result in a tier 2 tower going down.
That farm lead is truly insane up there. Let Me maligned before, saying, you know, when RNG wins, Uzi gets the credit. When RNG loses, I get blamed. Let Me, maybe one of the biggest forces in this game, has smashed top lane very hard and has been, I think, incredible throughout almost the entirety of Worlds here. A lot of great performances from him. RNG as a team are great, but now Uzi getting chunked a bit low. The Flay could answer back. Ignite is on a ruler, and they're going to pull him right back in. Look for the stun. Not going to find it yet. Suddenly Haru is here, and maybe GENG can answer back a little bit, but look out, because Xiao is here. The no-look pass to himself as he now goes for Haru. Looking for the ulti. The stun is in. Here comes MLXG, and Haru is certainly going to die. And now Crown bringing in Shen with Kuve. They're going to find a single. Will they get the double? MXG is running a ton. Look at that flash. That was beautiful. And Kuve tries to get a little bit more.
Ends up being a fight in favor of GENG this time round. 2 people end up going down. They gain a bit of priority, but what am I talking about? Let Me still in the top lane. He's still pushing. An inhibitor is now exposed.
And this is the way I like to play top lane. You don't have any responsibilities. Farm up, take turrets, just make sure you're a nuisance. The rest of the RNG lineup is doing such a good job.
Oh, here's MLXG again.
We're gonna keep fighting. 13 kills so far. Make it a 14th as MLXG finds yet another 6, 1, and 3.
Beautiful stuff from MLXG as he punishes the GENG AD carry. Let Me opens up the top lane. The bot lane snowballing so heavily in the favor of RNG, and initially this play looked like it could have gone in the favor of GENG. It looked like they could have turned something in their favor, but some beautiful outplays resulted in RNG win.
And let's look at where it starts, because the teleport is coming in now. Aurelia has to move from the mid lane. They are playing towards Haru, which is good, but Ruler already out of that play, and sometimes the game just not going your way. Both members of RNG knocked sub 100 health, but Xiao able to clean up the kill. MLXG on first rotation. And whilst this was all going on, we had already mentioned the fact that in the top lane there was significant pressure, and the Aatrox just able to knock down turrets.
Like, again, good flash there from Kuve, but all 5 members of GENG were forced down to the bot lane to at the very least make it a 2 for 2. In the end, it ends up going with more map control in favor of RNG. RNG yet to lose a tower, and they continue to put the pressure on.
And this is what fans were hoping to see. As an LPL fan right now, you should be saying, we have 4 turrets on the map and 0 of them are in the bottom lane. The rest of the map is now stepping up and filling that void. This is what we need out of Let Me Xiaohu if we are going to be the serious favorites for Worlds. And Uzi, 1-0-5, hasn't had to do all that much this game.
He hasn't. He's capitalized on a very good laning phase and a very smart level 1 by the team. And you're right, it is not just the Uzi show. For most of Worlds, it really hasn't been. It does seem like a full team coming together. RNG, the fate's in their control. They can still take first seed and have themselves an easier quarterfinals. Looking for another play, the Proto belt forward, and they found that first stun. Into the hook, into an unstoppable Olaf, and Crown will just be able to run away. But wait, Uzi brings in the reinforcements, and they're going for everything. What a teleport, 4 kills!
And just as I say he's not doing all that much, he reminds you why he is the best player in the world. Uzi continues the chase, and RNG crushed GENG.
Exquisite fight from RNG. The flank from Xiaohu was beautiful. And RNG, they want to prove that they deserve a quarterfinal spot. They want to go into that tiebreaker against Cloud9. They sit at a 10,000 gold lead 20 minutes into the game.
And gentlemen, what else is there to do? They're in full retreat out of a turret in a lane where the tier 1 hasn't even been gone. But RNG are just first to the play every time and are now on the same page.
Teams like this are why you watch the LPL. Look at that beautiful ult. And just the setup, let me happy to jump through. Grab them all. 10,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. RNG look amazing.
Yes, they do. And after a 0-2 performance so far this day, RNG needed to prove to the world that they were still a contender. And this is the kind of performance that you want.
We said this could be the grand final. We said these two teams could come out of this group, the group of death, as 1 and 2 get split throughout quarters and semis and then meet for the World Championship. And right now, Royal Never Give Up are smashing the Korean second seed.
Absolutely, and unfortunately for GENG, their exit's coming pretty soon, and they did not rise to expectations. Sadly, they will not be defending their championship here. We already know they're guaranteed to be last place in this group. Vitality, we're hoping they had a chance to get second, but with GENG's Nexus, will go Vitality's hopes. They're hoping for that giant comeback. Ruler, ooh, that could have been dangerous.
The Baron is alive right now. RNG, they haven't lost the turret. They have 10,000 gold. A Baron throw is an easy way for GENG to come back into the game, but with the amount of control that RNG have, they're just stealing away the neutral jungle monsters. They're just investing in deep vision.
And it has before. You think back to their LPL final, Game 3 against Invictus. They were in heavy control there, and Invictus brought it to all 5 games with a huge comeback. GENG themselves back as Samsung Galaxy did it to SKT back in 2016, but this is a very long bridge to cross.
And they have to win the team fight, because if Kalista can just stack spears up like this, you can't outsmite it. So they have to be able to enter the pit. They have to be able to go.
And here's the play on the 2. CoreJJ puts the tidal wave down, and now the engage in a Crown. He's got a Shenled, but he's going to be dropped, and it's 5v4 in the map. And Let Me again jumps over the wall. He's looking for more. A double kill for RNG in his debut game of Worlds. And Ruler is about to have his reign cut short. Let Me needs a W. One more shot will get the kill. And there's the stab. And CoreJJ, it's a Portal combat as Ming ensures that will not be a recall. They're ready to push the base.
RNG have 4 members topside. 3 members of GENG are dead. RNG could be looking to end the game right now.
And I don't think Cuvée can do it. 4v1. The turrets are falling. Royal Never Give Up. The MSI champions are punching their ticket to the quarterfinals. They will slaughter GENG. It's a 23-minute win. And as the respawns come in, GENG will try their hardest to get the kills. And they're wearing the health bars down, but theirs dropped first. RNG's into the top 8.
A dominant performance from RNG. While they did lose 2 games, they bounced back with the arrival of MLXG into the roster. His early game impact was instrumental in snowballing everywhere. And after the first couple of kills, GENG just had no response.
And their fate is still in their own hands. The Lee Sin pick was not working earlier in today. They bring in MLXG. They change the game plan to Olaf to the early game, and he runs over the defending world champions. RNG, whilst down, can still exit this group as the #1 seed.
They will take the stage again shortly, battling for that #1 spot. Not against GENG as many would have thought, but against Cloud9 from North America to see who gets the top seed, who gets the ostensibly easier quarterfinal matchup. Uzi, Emily.